Hey everyone, I'm Mariana, this is Impression Blend, and today we are talking about the final film in the Fear Street trilogy, Fear Street Part 3, 1666. It just came out on Netflix and everyone can get a definitive answer about what's the deal with Sarah Fier, why is the town of Shadyside cursed, and what can our characters do about it. So, as the title suggests, a big portion of the film happens in 1666 and covers the origins of Sarah Fier and the curse that Shadysiders have been struggling with for so long. What this film also has to do, though, is wrap up the 1994 storyline, and that takes up the second half of the movie. Yes, I think this is an important thing to know going into Part 3. Only the first half of it, well, a little bit more than the first half, but roughly around the first half of the movie is the witch hunt period piece. After that, we are back in the 1994 timeline with those characters who are trying to solve their problems. I actually think balancing the timelines this way was the right way to do it, and now I wish they would have done this from the very beginning. Well, I wish this would have been a 6 to 8 episode miniseries to begin with. I think this would have been a more fitting format, but that's a whole different conversation that we're not going to get into. Hear me out. I get that having a trilogy split between 3 different time periods and having each movie dedicated to a specific year is a neat idea. You have all those iconic slashers references, but in the end, I think this would have worked better if the older timelines were more concise and treated as flashbacks, maybe even giving us another brief timeline and really going all in on the story and the characters of 1994 for the majority of the runtime. Because here's the thing, after all is said and done, even though I enjoyed it more than the first one, that second movie does not feel all that necessary. Don't get me wrong, it's not that the info we got there was completely useless. It definitely helped flesh out the relationships and prepare us for Part 3, but the amount of relevant information and character backgrounds that we got from 1978 did not really justify an entire film worth of runtime. The point I'm trying to make here is that Fear Street Part 3 is actually the best film in the trilogy. It's still flawed, but the way it wraps things up and the way it brings all of the storylines and all of the timelines together actually really works. You might be wondering, and I was concerned about this as well going into the movie, how is the time period accuracy of the year 1666? And it's not great. It's really not. But the movie does something which makes that lack of accuracy make sense. I don't want to say more because of course I don't want to spoil the movie, but what I want you to take away from this is that if you're watching the film and you're sitting there thinking it's making a mess out of the time period, stick with it until you get past that part and it will make more sense, I promise you. As far as the actual story goes, it's quite interesting. Obviously, witch hunts and curses aren't anything particularly new, but the way 1666 puts everything into perspective and how that backstory eventually affects the 1994 timeline was pretty neat. They ended up putting a fun spin on the slasher setup. That being said, do not expect a miraculous upgrade in writing for this film. This is still the same type of writing we have been seeing in 2 previous movies. That means there are going to be questionable character choices and underdeveloped characters. There are going to be inconsistencies and gaps in logic. All that type of stuff. This film in particular has a character delivering a really random inspirational speech when the rest of the characters are already on board with what they're doing and they're actually already in the beginning of executing their plan, but then all of a sudden this character decides to deliver this "let's do this thing together" speech that feels so random and so oddly edited and just out of place. There's also a character who keeps getting knocked out, and considering what this poor character has been through already, I just have no idea how they could possibly function for this long. I don't really feel like I need to talk about the cast or the acting anymore because I've discussed that in the first two reviews, and honestly, this is mostly the cast from the first movie here for the majority of the film, because there are only a couple actors who are coming back from the second film, and they have very, very minor roles. So it is pretty much more of the same. Some of the performances are better, some of the performances are not as great. A lot of it is held back by the writing, but the leads definitely stand out, and the leads definitely are able to carry this film. As far as the horror elements go, there are a few pretty messed up scenes in there, and surprisingly, not a lot of that in the 1994 timeline. Most of the horror happens in 1666. That was a bit unexpected, to be honest, because you would assume the final standoff, the big confrontation, the culmination of this horror trilogy would be pretty brutal, but they actually went a lot more towards the fun side of things, the more entertaining type of horror. And by the way, this movie does have a quick mid-credits scene, so make sure you stick around for that. But overall, just like with the previous movies, this is entertaining, and I was actually surprised by how much I ended up enjoying it. It definitely helped that compared to the first two films, Part 3 did not rely on slasher classic inspirations or on specific tropes as much, and that gave the filmmakers more freedom to have fun with it and just tell their story. I would confidently say that despite any issues it has, Fear Street Part 3 1666 is the best film in the trilogy, and if you've been enjoying the Fear Street movies so far, you will not be disappointed here. As far as a rating, I am actually going with a 7 out of 10 for this one, but what about you? What did you think of Fear Street Part 3 and the trilogy as a whole? How would you rank the three movies? For me, it's definitely Part 3, Part 2, and then Part 1. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but that is it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. A special thank you to all my patrons who are supporting me on Patreon, with an extra special thank you to the patrons whose names are on the screen right now. But of course, thank you to every single one of you for watching this entire video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Follow me on social media if you would like. All of those links will be in the info box below as always, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye.